Okay, so we should be live right now. I'm looking at my phone, seeing if the video is showing up on YouTube. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Great, it works. All right then. Cool, so my name is Trevor LeClaire and welcome to Trekking with Trevor, live streaming photo editing adventure as I edit some of the photos that I have captured on my recent trip up to or over to India. So I went over to India recently and I went on a personal trip to do a little herping, looking for some snakes, particularly a king cobra. But that is a story for another day. What we are focusing on for this live stream is the tiger expedition that I went on. So I led a tiger photography workshop on behalf of Backcountry Journeys. And these are some of the images I captured. So for this stream, I'll just go through here, edit a few images, anywhere between 5 to 10 images, probably about an hour long worth of streaming. And about halfway through the stream, or after I edit a few photos, I will give a keyword that you could present to me by following me on Instagram or Facebook, Trekking with Trevor. And by presenting this keyword, you can get your name in a drawing to win a metal print of any of these images that I have edited during this live stream. So if it's one of your goals to have a tiger print hanging up on your wall, well then stay tuned. You may have a chance of winning one of those. All right. So to get started, boom, here we are. So the first image that I have here to photograph, a gorgeous tiger. So over in India, they got the Bengal tigers, and this was photographed in Bandhavgarh National Park. So this is near the end of our expedition. So during the tiger workshop, we went to 2 national parks. We went to Bandhavgarh, and then we went to Kanha National Park. So we spent about, I reckon it was 4 days in each national park. So this one was photographed near the end of the first one. Beautiful male tiger. When we saw him, he was wading in the water, cooling off from the hot afternoon. It was about 90 degrees Fahrenheit over in India during the afternoons. And then after a while, he got out of the water, walked along the pond or the bank of the lake, and then followed the road quite a ways actually, marking his territory among all the trees. And we just kept following this tiger among all the other vehicles there. We just kept following this tiger for quite a while. And then eventually it got dark and he kind of just disappeared deeper in the woods. So this was taken during low light situations. So if I present my information right there, you can see that I photographed this guy at an ISO of 2000. So my ISO was still pretty high. But if I zoom in, boom, still got some nice, beautiful detail, nice texture of fur around his eyes, which is great. So image still turned out nice and clear. And one of the great things about photographing animals there at sunrise and in sunset, especially in the shade of the forest, is that you have less distortion of heat waves. In the middle of the afternoon, being really hot and also dusty, you can get some distortion that takes away the clarity of the animals. But luckily in this situation, that wasn't a problem. So enough talking, and let's get right to editing this gorgeous guy. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to increase the exposure a little bit to where my histogram is about in the middle. Not too much because I don't want to create a lot of noise, but just enough to kind of brighten the overall image. I'm going to add a little contrast, which kind of helps make him pop a little bit more, darkens the background. And a lot of times when I edit photos, I kind of just go through and play with certain aspects of it and seeing what works and what doesn't, adding a little vignette around it, darkening the edges, brings the focus more toward the center of the image. All right, so cool. So for the basic edits, I think I'm satisfied with what I have right now. And I'm going to go ahead and move on to the masking. And the masking features are really awesome on Lightroom because you could isolate different parts of your subject or different parts of the image. Basic edits the entire image, while masking, you could do some dodging and burning and isolation of different aspects to make certain things pop. So when you're editing your images, a thing to keep in mind is it's kind of like videos. When people are scrolling on social media, the first 5 to 10 seconds of a video is where you need your hook. And if you don't have your hook, well, then the person's going to keep on swiping. Well, if you post your images in a gallery or on social media, it's about the same concept. You have few seconds as the person walks by or scrolls past your image to catch their attention. So the great thing about editing and using the masking features is that it helps make certain parts pop so that way the viewers can see what you are seeing. So first thing I want to do is let's do a linear gradient just down here. Going up, and I am going to just darken that just a tad. And then let's drop the clarity a little bit. Maybe darken it a little bit more. Not too much. All right. So that way it takes away from the light, the exposure, the highlights down in the vegetation, and it brings the attention more toward your subject. So when it comes to photography, lights pop out while the darks fade back. So while darkening the foreground, and I'm going to do the same for the background as well, by darkening the foreground and also the background, let's do another linear gradient, I bring more attention toward my subject. So let's bring this down right there. Great. So right now my tiger is in red and he's going to be edited, which I don't want that. So I am going to go over here to my mask, subtract, select subject, and then you just wait for Lightroom to catch up. Aha! Boom! Great, so now my tiger is no longer red, so he is not going to be incorporated in my edits. I'm going to go down to the dehaze, and I'm going to actually add some haze to the background. Make it a little foggier, so that way the clarity and the sharpness of the subject pops a little bit more. So make it a little hazy, darken it just a tad. There we go. And then I'm actually going to add a tint of blue to it. So just pop, just a little bit. There we go. So I'm adding blue to it to kind of dramatize the coolness of the background or the darkness of the forest, or also the shadows of the forest. And when it comes to colors and images, your warm colors have a tendency to pop and reach out to the viewer, while the cool colors tend to fall back and hide in the shadows. So by adding a tint of blue to my background helps the tiger, I don't know why I keep saying lion, the tiger pop right out at you. So when you walk by, you see this image, boom, your face goes directly to the subject, which is what I want. And now we are going to go to mask, select subject. There we go. And I'm actually going to add a little sharpness, a little clarity to him, just a tad, not too much. Boom, just a little bit. Let's see, what will exposure look like? Nope, I don't want to add any more exposure to him. I think I like how it's exposed right now. So I'm going to keep him like that. I am going to add a radio gradient. Boom. Big oval. Let's bring it right here is where I'm going to put my dot. come over here to invert. Boom. Great. So now everything outside the radio is what's going to be edited, while right in the center where you can see right here on the face, I'm not going to touch that. And now I'm going to drop my exposure. There we go. Add more tension to the face. Right directly to the face. Darken the edges a little bit. Darken that butt some more. So that way your eyes goes directly to the face. Now, I'm going to zoom in here on the eyes, because he's looking right at you. Boom, look at that face, look at those eyes. I'm going to add a brush, and I'm just going to brush this up a little bit right here. Add a little bit exposure. I want to brighten those up some, so that way they pop. Drop in the blacks a little bit. Maybe not. Sometimes I drop the blacks so that way like the pupils pop a little bit more. Sometimes I will actually mask over the pupils individually and paint them in to make them pop a little bit more. But for now on this guy, I'm just going to expose the eyes just a little bit. So you don't want too much, because you don't want them to look demonic or fake. Boom. Okay, cool. So before, after, before, after. So now I'm just staring at him and trying to decide what else do I want to do to this guy. Let's see, what if I drop the saturation some? Make it a little bit moodier. Yeah, the orange brightness of his orange, but I may, let's go over here to color mixing, and I may actually saturate these greens a little bit. Just drop them down some. Let's see, maybe change the hue. Yeah, bring the hue up, add a little bit of more coolness to them. Okay, another thing, this leaf right here is kind of distracting for me. So I'm gonna take this brush and let's go ahead and add auto mask so it doesn't brush anything else outside the leaf. And I am just going to paint this leaf right here. All right, zoom out. And I want to drop the exposure on that leaf a little bit, maybe saturate it some, because I don't want it to take the attention away from the tiger. There we go, that's better. So that's before, and that is after. So when I edit these images, a lot of times I will edit them, and then after a while, let's say a week later, I may actually come back and make some more adjustments. So even though this is what I have for it right now, I may end up doing more to it later. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to actually control copy. Boom. Copy everything. And then I'm going to go to this one because this is another image that I like because I just like how stoic he looks. Just standing there and just staring off at something in the distance. So for me, it's kind of a toss-up between that one and this guy right here on which one I like more. So since these two images are the same, I copy the edits from one and I'm going to Control V, paste it to this one. There are some subtle differences to this image that I'm going to have to adjust. For example, the position of the eyes or the masking on the eyes. As you saw, the red is right there. And so I need to adjust that. Boom. Oops, don't want to name it. I'm going to actually delete you and then add brush and just brush there and brush there. Zoom out. And actually I'm going to hit the auto mask, go back in, make sure it's cleaner. There we go. Oops. I'm gonna select brush and I'm actually gonna clean this up right through here because that turned out to be a little sloppy. Get this up here. Same over here. I'm gonna clean you up, clean around there so that way it's focused just on the eye itself. Now I'm gonna zoom out. Increase the exposure a little bit. There we go. That's better. Now the eyes pop more. Oh, and this mask right here, that was the leaf. So there's no leaf right here where it's at now. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to delete this mask. Radio gradient, it's right here. I'm going to see if I need to move it. Yep, I want to move it over here. Just right there. Check everything else. Good. That looks good. Right there is good. All right, cool. So yeah, even though I copied and pasted the features from edits from one to the other, I still had to make a few minor adjustments because there were some differences in the images, like the position of the eyes and where the radio masking was. So yeah, before, after. Such a gorgeous kitty. All right, I'm adding 3 stars to these right now. The 3 stars at the moment actually don't mean anything. When I'm done with my edits, I will go through and actually label between 3 to 5 stars, with 5 stars being my favorites. And then 3 stars being basically the least favorites. Sometimes I also do 1 and 2. Most of the time I'll do just a 1 star when I just want to label it for an assignment or something like that. But usually I just do 3 to 5 stars on my edits. But right now I'm just putting 3, and then later, once I'm all done with editing, I'm going to go through them all and actually decide what number of stars I want to give them right off the back. Alright, so let's do another one of this fella, but this time let's do it with his beautiful reflections here. So yeah, after he got out of the water, he walked along the bank right here. Nice reflection, low light situation. What I'm looking for is I want to see action and movement in the tiger. So like this one right here, I like how that paw is lifted up because it shows that he's in motion right now. Versus this one, it doesn't really express that as much. And another thing I'm looking for is a nice, beautiful reflection because that plays a huge role. And finally, a clean background. So that's a nice reflection. I also like the colors of this one. I like that you can see the paw here on that one. And this one, it looks a little bit cleaner in the background. So, this is always the hard part about going through your photos, is when you have like subtle changes and trying to size, like, which one is the best? And I think, oh, but the reflection. I mean, I really love this reflection. You can see more of the tiger in this reflection, but I'm not too happy about the stick coming out of its butt right there. So I think I'm going to go with this one where I still get some of the reflection, but also it's a cleaner background around the tiger, so it pops a little bit more, which in my opinion is better. I wish there was more of a reflection. He was closer to the water's edge here, but yeah. Yep, I think I'm going to go ahead and go with this one right here. All right, so let's play with white balance a little bit and see how it looks. Ugh. Nope, I'm going to go back a shot. Okay. Let's go and add the exposure just a little bit. Let's add some contrast. There we go. I do like how it darkens the water there. Thinking. All right, let's go up to mask. So I'm gonna start with a radio. Boom. Invert. This time I'm gonna add actually a little bit more feather. There you go. So anything in this small circle right there is not gonna be edited. So with my tiger in the circle, that guarantees that this entire area right here will not be touched by the edits that I make. And now I'm gonna darken the edges. I'm gonna soften the edges just a little bit. Let's add a linear gradient. Bring it down. Baby, how you down, 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 down. Now I subtract the subject. Subtract. Okay, and I'm going to drop the haze, add some haze to it. Wait, no, not to the whole image. There we go. Just to the background. Haze it up. Ooh. Not bad. Okay, now I'm going to select subject. Where are you at? Right there. Boom. Increase my exposure on him. Add a little clarity. You never want to add too much clarity, because if you do, makes your animal really prickly. And we don't want to make a soft animal look prickly. I'm actually going to drop the highlights on this fella. There we go. Maybe actually it's... There. Yeah, I'm not going to add the exposure on him. I like this tiger being a little bit darker because the darker orange to it makes it pop out from the background a little bit more. So, yeah, I'm not going to brighten him. Let's go back to radio gradient. Let's maybe drop that a little bit more. Just exposure. Let's get better. Before, after. Here, kitty, 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 kitty. Let's actually, whoops, wrong way. I am going to zoom out and actually may increase my radio. Gonna do that. Just add a little, make it a little bit longer. There we go. So now I'm not only brightening up my tiger or keeping my tiger bright, but I'm keeping the path in front of the tiger bright as well. To kind of help paint a map or direction in the path that's the cat is going, and also to help draw the eyes in that direction as well. So yeah, and let's zoom in on the wrong way. Zoom in on the tiger. Just want to check around the body, make sure there's no weird marks or anything. Look at that beautiful cat. It's so gorgeous. Don't you just want to go up and like be like, here, kitty, 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 and boop it on the nose and scratch it in the head, on the head? Gorgeous animal. If you can't tell right here, zoom in closer. Yeah. Let's go closer. Bring it in, guys. There we go. All right. So if you can't tell right here, there's a nice little cut right there. Now, of course, when I did come in close, as you could tell, it did turn out a little noisy. It's not exactly the sharpest image. So this one is definitely more of like an environmental shot. This one was photographed at, there you are. So 2000 at 1/1250 of a second, aperture f4. But yeah, not the sharpest, also a bit noisy. So I want to compare what it looks like before, after. So yeah, in general, it wasn't a sharp image, that sharp of an image. Right now, I'm kind of checking out these other ones and seeing if any of the other ones actually turned out sharper. Yeah, the big difference between this guy and this image versus the other ones is he was further off, so there was definitely more of a negative effect of heat haze. So as you can see here, the haze has kind of softened the image a little bit, not giving me the sharpness that I got in the previous one. Let's see what we can do with a little bit of denoise though. So I'm going to go ahead and actually control copy, check none. Just the masks, copy those. Okay. Now I'm gonna delete all masks because technically you don't want to add denoise with the masks on because that could create halos and other marks on occasion. So I'm gonna denoise, and then once it gets done denoising it, then I'm gonna paste those masks edits that I made back onto this image over the image that has been denoised. Okay, now this is always the fun part, trying to find the kitty. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Where are you? Where's the grass? Where's the water? Reflection. I wish there was an easier way on this. Where is he? Boom. Oh, there we go. Boom. Found you. All right. So now I'm just playing with the dial here. All the way up is very smooth. And all the way down, you can see all the noise. So I'm just getting rid of some of it, not all of it. Smoothing it out a little bit. There we go. I think that looks good. So now I'm just waiting for the denoise up here to load and do its edits. And boom. And so it creates another image, a DNG, that is overlaid, stacked on top of the previous one. So now that it's done with denoise, I'm going to Control V and paste. Also, just let you know that I am editing these photos on a PC, so the features and functions may be a little different if you do your photo edits on a Mac. Boom, there we go. So, boom, before, after, zooming in. So a little bit took away some of the noise, but it didn't exactly sharpen the image that much. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give that one a 3-star. Definitely not one of my favorite ones, only because it wish it was sharper. All right, let's see, what should I do next? All right. So yeah, these are all the images that I've picked, and some of them have already been edited. I had to submit them for work. So, here we go. I want this beauty right here. Just a headshot. Zoom in on the eyes. Whoa, too much zoom in. There we go. And still a little soft in some areas, but you still get some detail in the fur. So I'm going to go ahead and go with this one right here. I like that, just the isolation of the head. So add a little contrast. Add a little bit of exposure. And I'm going to take the background and I'm going to, oh, wait. It's incorporating part of my tiger. So I need to get that taken care of. Come on, Lightroom, get it straight. All right, you're raising this up here. Come on. I don't want a headless cat or just a cat's head floating around without the attachment to its body. Necks are very important. All right. Some of the whiskers there are also highlighted, which is a bit of a shame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just actually darken the background a little bit. And then it's not affecting the whiskers too much, which is good. I'm going to take the linear gradient, drop down right here, about right there. Straighten it out some. Subtract my subject. And then, of course, I'm going to have to also brush. So subtract, brush. Fix this here again. And then now I'm going to add some haze to the background to soften it up a little bit more. Just a little bit. There we go. Okay. And then let's do a radial gradient. Boom. I'll do something like that. Invert. Darken the edges. There. That way, all the attention goes right to the tiger. Rawr. Let's go in on the eye. Let's add a little bit of a brush. I'm gonna shrink my brush. I'm gonna paint the eye right here. Let's brighten you a little bit. Just a little bit. Boom, boom. Nice. Now I may see how this look actually cropped. So how does it look by an 8x10? I think I like the 8x10. Takes out a little more of the empty space. I got the tiger here and 2 intersecting points, the rules of thirds. A little bit of that motion going on there. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with 8x10 on this guy. So, before, after. Boom. So yeah, a lot more tension, a lot more lighting and exposure brought up onto the cat to help make it pop, which is good. That's what I want. Now there is one image in here I'm going to actually get a little creative with. Here we go. This is one I want to play around in terms of creativity. So there we go. So I like how this tiger is like just looking up. Its eyes are closed. It almost looked like that he's just in this very relaxing meditative state. So I'm going to kind of, excuse me, I'm going to play off of that emotion, that expression right there. So add, actually I'm not going to add any exposure, but I will add a little contrast. I want to add a little coolness to the image, a little blue. Actually, let's see, what if I do auto? No. Yep, all right. I'm adding a little blue to the image. There we go. All right, now I am going to do a radial gradient. Coming in like this. Boom. Let's rotate it. Make it a little bit bigger. That's better. Bring it up actually a little bit more. Boom. Get rid of the feather. All right, now I'm gonna actually brighten this. Boom. And add a little warmth to it. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to dramatize it a little bit to make it look like that there's this warm sunlight just seeping in there on the corner, and the tiger is like basking in the warmth. Great. Now I'm going to linear gradient up right here. And another one kind of the diagonal like this. I'm going to bring it in there, about right there. And I'm going to darken that. Maybe add a little more blue to those areas. Not too much though. And let's go ahead and add some haze. I'm going to add some softness there. So that way there's more clarity kind of in this area right there. I may actually, I'm going to subtract subject on this. Select subject. There we go. So that way it's basically on this vegetation right here. It's not affecting my tiger any. Cool. Now I'm going to add another radial gradient. Boom. Rotate. I'm going to put this right there, and then I'm going to invert and just darken the edges there. Maybe that's take away some of the saturation. Okay. How will this look in black and white though? Alright, so before, after, before. Yeah, I think I'm gonna actually take my sunbeam. Let's expand it a little bit more. There we go. Before, after, before, after. Okay, now I'm gonna select my subject. Yeah, I'm gonna keep the exposure same on him. Not gonna make any changes. Sharpen it a little bit, add a little texture, for the finer details, pop a little bit more. And boom. All right, I'm gonna linear gradient, pop this up, drop the exposure, soften it there. Actually, I'm gonna just drop the clarity there. And then linear gradient in the back, select subject, and I'm gonna drop the haze. Just haze it. Maybe actually drag it down some more. Okay. Yep. So there's one before. That's my after. So a little more extensive edits, a little more creative. As you can see, add that brightness and that ray of sunshine coming in where he's looking up toward, and then I darken and cool down the everything around it a little bit more. Make it look like he's more in his happy place. So this guy, this is one that was photographed in the evening. There were multiple of those vehicles there, and there was this canyon that was right next to us. And there was no guardrails or anything, and we knew there was a tiger there, but we couldn't see him. So we were all just kind of waiting around, and all these flies were bugging us. And then suddenly someone spotted a tiger, and boom, everyone just went berserk. And just started like trying to race around and get in the spot, and was quickly backing up and turning around. And I was sitting there thinking, as chaotic as these drivers were, I was sitting there wondering, like, has anyone ever actually fallen over the edge into this canyon? Like, it was quite crazy. On these expeditions, there are times where like one vehicle will back up and bump into another vehicle, and you could tell that this happens quite often because they kind of just like look at each other and are like, oops, or sorry, and then just continue on. So yeah, it was kind of crazy. And then about right across the canyon from us, he just laid down right there and relaxed for a little bit, and had plenty of opportunities to photograph this guy until it got too dark, which was pretty awesome. We were in a really nice position for this fella. And then also another great thing about this shot is that the slope that he was on was basically a little bit above eye level where we were at. So he was like directly across from us. And that's perfect for photography, because when you want to photograph wildlife, you want to try to be down eye level and be one with the animal, or get lower and make them look big and magnificent and awesome. And so being eye level with your subject is oftentimes a lot better than being up shooting down, which can be challenging when you're cruising around in vehicles on these tiger safaris in the parks. But this one actually was photographed in Kanha National Park. Between the two national parks, we had the most luck with tigers in Bandhavgarh, while Kanha, we had less sightings, but the experience in Kanha itself was really nice, actually. It was relaxing. It wasn't too chaotic. A lot of just cruising around, looking for animals. The landscape was beautiful. Yeah, really nice area. Okay, so let's see here. Maybe do one more tiger image. Actually, let's change it up a little bit. Yeah, let's go with the green bee eater. Asian green bee eater. Let's play with this guy here. I love his colors. So a little bit different than a tiger. But before I do that, where did I go that other tiger at? I don't think I gave him his stars. Boom. 3 stars. Great. So I do still got some other photos here that I may get to an edit later. But as of right now, these are the selected images. I feel like I'm missing a few images here. Yeah, so right now, these are a select a few images that I have already edited and then also edited during this live stream. So I got the Indian bison, tiger, 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 tiger. Here, actually, let's do it this way. Boom, full screen. There we go. Now you have a really good view of this. So yeah, some of these I've already edited, but I will actually incorporate the ones that I've already edited to the contest, the drawing that I'll be doing next week. So if any of these images catch your fancy that you think will look great just hung up on your wall as a metal print, then definitely follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Trekking with Trevor, basically the same handle as my YouTube channel. And send me a direct message, a private message, with the keyword Danger Kitty. And when you send me that keyword Danger Kitty, I will put your name in a drawing, and the drawing will end next week on May 2nd. So after May 2nd, I will draw the winner and reach out to you, and boom, you'll get a metal print of any of these images that I have just gone through so far from my tiger expedition. So let's go ahead and edit one last image, and let's do the green bee eater. So yeah, these are all the images that I have picked so far that I was going to go through and edit. Some of them I may still edit. But if you look over here, I have over 1,000 images between the two parks total. And I've actually already went through and just culled a whole bunch. Like just got rid of them all. Rejected, deleted off my disk. Just, you're gone. And I had several thousand worth of images where I just went click, 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 just going through one at a time, trying to get rid of them. So yeah, these are the ones that I have left that I've selected. And so to finish off, let's go ahead and play with the bee eater. Yeah, beautiful birds. Bee eaters and kingfishers are gorgeous birds, and I love photographing them. I already showed one image of a kingfisher, the one that was on the log as I went through. Here he is. Boom. Beautiful kingfisher right there. Good reflection. I had to hang over on the vehicle try to get as low as possible to get this shot. It was kind of difficult. Like I couldn't look through my viewfinder, my camera to get this shot. And it was really hard to hold my Canon R5 with 600mm lens stable to get that shot. This one was a little bit more simpler. So if I zoom in, you can see, boom, this little guy also got a tasty treat. So the thing about photographing bee eaters, and I've experienced it with the other bee eater shot that I have as well, which is this, nope, just kidding, which is this one right there. I really love that one. So one thing about photographing bee eaters is that they will sometimes find a perch that they like, and they will fly from the perch to go and catch an insect, or try to catch an insect, and then they'll come back, perch a little bit, and then they'll take off and do it again. So they have this like repeating pattern, which is something that's very important to keep an eye out for when you're photographing birds. Look for repeating patterns. So luckily for us, and this bee eater and the other bee eater, those two perches that they use were their main perch for a while. So we were able to photographing them coming in and out. So yeah, the one with him on the log here, I had several opportunities trying to capture this shot of him like flying in. And as you saw, there's a few others that I capture of that image as well. But this one is my favorite. I just love how well lit his wings are, or her wings. And then this fella here, not any lot of action going on. What I like about this one is that everything around it is the same color. It's all kind of brown and dull, and then you got this beautiful green bird just sitting right there on the perch that stands out from its background, and it has a tasty treat. So this guy was a successful hunter on his endeavor versus the other one. So let's go ahead and make them pretty, or make the image pretty. I'm gonna brighten that up a little bit. I'm going to add a linear gradient. This one I don't envision doing a whole lot of edits on. Boom. All right, let's subtract. Select subject. The challenging part on this is, oh, awesome, it did it. So I was kind of wondering if it was going to actually incorporate the stem here of the plant, which it did, which is awesome. So I subtracted my subject, and let's haze the background some more. Boom. There we go. And then I'm going to do a radial gradient. All right here. Add a feather, just a little bit. Invert. I want to make sure that my bird is not being touched. So make the feather bigger. Boom, he's not being touched. Good. Now I am going to go ahead and I'm actually going to haze all the edges like that. Oops, come back. And maybe brighten it. So right now I'm thinking and analyzing to try to decide if that's actually the route I want to go. Maybe I will. Let's see. Before, after, before, after. All right, I just want to check this plant out right here, see how this looks. Okay. Select subject. My masking box moved. Go back over there. Click on that. There we go. Did I do select? No, I didn't. Add. Select subject. Cool. And I'm going to go ahead and keep these twigs right here incorporated as part of my subject. And I'll go ahead and sharpen those as well to help them pop a little bit more, because this is basically the main focus is all this right here. And these twigs, even if I sharpen them, they're not distracting, basically. Like, they don't have colors or weird designs or texture to them that take away from the subject. They do kind of blend into the background a little bit. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and incorporate them in my edits with the subject. Maybe, no, I don't want to add any brightness. But let's see, what if I add a little bit of vibrancy or saturation? Let's do saturation. Boom. So just a tad bit, a little color to that. Yep, and I'm actually going to crop this one in some. I want to be a little tighter. There we go. More focus on the bird. All right, let's zoom in on my bird right there, see how it looks. Everything looking good on that. Colors, detail, clarity, yada, yada, yada. All right, so before, after, before, after. Yeah, so that's how it looks. I'm still trying to decide if I actually want to keep the haze in it, like the brightness of it, or if I want to darken it just a tad. I think I got a little too bright. I'm going to experiment on this and see if I select background, and let's darken it just... delete. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stop with this one. Oh, what if I got it? Add contrast. There we go. Let's see, what if I go actually back to subject? Okay, let's zoom in on the bird, add contrast to the bird. There we go. Let's see, what if I drop my highlights some? Great. I think adding the contrast actually helped a little bit more. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with that. Cool. So let's go ahead and... Ooh, no, come back. I forgot to start my bee eater. Come back, bee eater. Please don't leave me. I'm sorry, I forgot about you. Where'd you go? Boom. 3-star. Did I do it? Yay. Okay. All right. Great. So here are the final products of the images that I have edited during and also some before this live stream. As a reminder, if you are interested in achieving a metal print of any of these images, then follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Trekking with Trevor and send me a message, Danger Kitty, for your chance to enter in a drawing to win one of these images. So, boom. Okay, so Indian bison, Bengal tiger, Bengal tiger, Bengal tiger, Bengal tiger, or Danger Kitty, green bee eater, green bee eater, Asian green bee eater, Bengal tiger, danger kitty. Come on. There we go. Spotted deer. He's a cute fawn. Nice. This was a pretty cool shrine that was just outside of Bandhavgarh National Park that I thought was really neat. Kingfisher. Do not remember what species the king was, but kingfisher. Danger kitty taking a leap. Happy meditative danger kitty. Looks less danger. Ah, look at the teeth on those. The danger kitty. Yeah, when you see a tiger out in the wild, it's actually pretty epic, especially when you get them fairly close to the vehicle. Like, seeing them out there just walking and just the muscles moving in their body and getting an idea how big these cats are and how powerful they are. Just, they're beautiful animals and they're really cool to see. And during our expedition, we actually got really lucky and saw a total of 15 tiger sightings within the 10 days we were on this tiger expedition. So really rewarding journey. You don't always get that lucky, but really cool. And we also did this during the dry season, so it made it easier photographing the tigers because in the dry season there is less water, so they tend to be easier to spot because they go where there's water to drink. So a lot of times during the days or afternoons, you're just cruising around checking all the watering holes to see if you can find a cat just waiting in the water, sleeping nearby, or taking a drink. But here we go. So that is our edits for live stream photo editing for this. Boop-a-doo-ba-doo. Boom. All right, great. So yeah, Indian Tiger Safari Lightroom photo editing session. Thank you for watching and tuning in, and don't forget reach out if you want to win a metal print of a danger kitty. Yeah, and also stay tuned for more photo editing live streams here on YouTube and future videos coming your way. See y'all later. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful weekend.